So you're a guy and you've just had a relationship end with a narcissistic or borderline woman, and you want to know how to pick up the pieces. This is Radical Self-Respect with Jared Mello. I have an ebook and an audio book by the same name. I actually wrote the book because of my experience with a female covert narcissist, and the reason I wrote it was because I wanted to take a look at my side of the street and learn what I could have done differently to prevent it from happening again. And please do take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy videos about radical self-respect. I talk a lot about dating, relationships, some red pill stuff, mental health, personality disorders, etc. So if that sounds interesting to you, please like and subscribe and share my content with others that you think might benefit. So the reason I'm making this video today about if you're a dude and you've just had a relationship end with a narcissistic or borderline woman is I see a lot of guys, they've really gotten the rug pulled out from underneath their feet, and they might not even been able to identify what exactly has happened, and they don't know they actually just got abused by a narcissist and they've been love bombed, devalued, and then discarded. Or they had an experience with a borderline woman, but they don't know she was borderline. And so if you're finding this video, at least you've been able to identify what's going on. And I'm sure there's other guys out there where this has happened to, but they just haven't been able to identify it and label it correctly. But from it happening to me, it was one of the worst experiences of my life, because this is pre-red pill for me. And in fact, my experience with a female narcissist is what led me to find the red pill, which is a pretty common story. Either that or a borderline woman pushes men to finding the red pill. And it's been a very good thing that I have found that. But my experience with the female narcissist left me devastated because I was still very blue-pilled. I believed in soulmates, and I thought that she was my soulmate. I confused the love bombing stage for this is meant to be. She's the one. She's mirroring all my likes and dislikes. She's just like me. She likes all the same things I like and dislikes all the same things I dislike. And she loves my singing. She loves this. She loves that. And I fell for it hook, line, and sinker because I didn't know what I was dealing with. I didn't know about narcissism. I didn't know about personality disorders, cluster B personality disorders. And so when the devalue phase came, I was toast. I was toast. I was left scrambling. I was a little codependent, and I was desperate to kind of get her back. But the more I became desperate, the worse it got. And soon after, the discard came, and I heard the famous, "I just want to be alone," which in narcissist double speak means, I really don't want to be alone. I'm just too busy love bombing new people, and you're no longer working for me as a source of supply, and so I'm discarding you. But I'm not going to give you any closure because I still want to leave the door open to be able to come back, because I might want to hoover you at some point when maybe I'm a little short on supply, or the supply I'm currently getting with leaves, or I discard them. I still want to have you as a safe backup plan in case I decide to come back. And that's the reason why you'll get no closure, and you'll just get the line like, "Oh, I just want to be alone right now," or "I don't want to see people." Classic narcissistic female discard. But I've been seeing a lot of men, they've been through this. They've been through a borderline woman, a narcissistic woman, and they're broken. And they've been run over, basically, and devastated, because a lot of them really loved the girl. But the problem is, when a woman's narcissistic or has borderline personality disorder that has not been worked on, because borderline women can at least try a lot of times, because I do have a little more awareness, it seems, but neither one of them has healthy attachments. And so when they're in the love bombing phase, it's more about them than it is about us. It's about they're falling in love with themselves and how they're feeling about us, and it really has nothing to do with us. And so it's not a genuine connection. It feels like a genuine connection, but it's really not. And so it becomes a little easier for them when they find out that we're human. Oh, okay, this guy has flaws. He's actually not perfect. That's when the devaluing stage begins. And then from there, it's pretty easy to go to the discard. And this happens to guys, and they're left flabbergasted, devastated, and they're not sure how to pick up the pieces. And so one of the ways to pick up the pieces would be to look at some red pill content and understand about female nature. Now, narcissistic and borderline women is like female nature on crack. And it's not necessarily a great representation of how all females are, but it is a portion of women that are absolutely that way. Paul from Apex Mindset says that in this day and age, 70% of women are just not relationship material. And of that 70%, narcissistic and borderline women are absolutely in that 70%. Throw in there also women who struggle with addiction or untreated mental health issues or who are cheaters and just can't be by themselves. They all fall into the 70%. But discovering about female nature and learning about the red pill is a great way to move forward, and we'll be able to recognize some of our mistakes, and we'll be able to recognize what's going through women's heads at certain times of their lives and what they're looking for in relationships or the dating world, etc. And a lot of it depends upon, are they a single mother? Are they younger? Are they older? It all depends. And like I said, a lot of the red pill stuff, it helps. It helps us to understand, and it can lead to different kinds of issues down the line, which I'm going to get into that in another video, red pill and mental health. I'm going to start talking about that, I think, because I think it's underrepresented in the manosphere. But the experience with a borderline and narcissistic woman is the worst of the worst. Like, you're not going to get worse than that. Normal women, women who don't have personality disorders, they're still going to have female nature, but it's not going to be female nature on crack like it is with narcissistic and borderline women. So the experience, if we're willing to take a look at our side of the street, can absolutely force us to grow. It makes us become uncomfortable, but we got to get uncomfortable in order to become comfortable. Now, I coach men that have been through these things. I've dated a female covert narcissist, I've dated a borderline woman, and I've also dated a comorbid borderline narcissist, which was basically a combination of the two. And I've got a lot of experience with this, and there's certain red flags to look out for. But part of picking up the pieces after one of these relationships is taking a look at our side of the street. What are the red flags that we might have missed? A lot of the red flags include, in the beginning, the love bombing stuff. When they're idolizing us, they are love bombing, mirroring our likes and dislikes. It's one of the things to watch out for. And there will be no arguments even. They'll agree with everything. And it'll seem to go too smoothly. And they'll want to sleep with us right away. And this is one of the huge red flags. But I would actually recommend, after a relationship like this, to recover single for a little bit. Don't date for a while. Don't just replace the feelings you had for the narcissistic or borderline woman with another person. No, don't do that. That's what women do. Men, we should regather and really focus on our mission and purpose. Because when we're really focused on our mission and purpose, we don't get too caught up in how women are making us feel. I'm not saying that we become emotionless or feelingless. No, that's not what I'm saying. But when we're on our mission and purpose, and that's first, and a woman's only a complement to our lives, not the focus, they are not able to hurt us as much. And so chances are, when we've been with a narcissistic or borderline woman, we've become either codependent or obsessed with another person. We've pedestalized them probably, and they've taken us off of our course. We've been sidetracked and led astray by the good feelings that woman brought us. That's all our fault. If we let that happen as a man, we're going to suffer the consequences. Whether it's a cluster B woman or just a regular woman with normal attachments, we can't let that happen. And granted, a normal woman with normal attachments is not going to do that love bombing. They're not going to be wanting to necessarily sleep with us right away all the time. Not to say it doesn't happen, but it's not nearly as frequent as it is with a narcissistic or borderline woman. So there are things to learn from the scenarios. And so when we learn, okay, I can't let myself get sidetracked, I gotta have a good routine on my own without them. I gotta have things in my life that I'm really looking forward to outside of a woman. And It's good to have a good sense of community with other men that can call us out when they see us straying off the path. It's actually really critical because by definition, we can't spot self-deception on our own, but other men in our circles can. So if you're a guy out there, you've been with a borderline woman, and you've been with a narcissistic woman, and you've just been broken up with, and you're looking for answers, I'd love to help you. You can reach out to me via my email, which is in the description, and I work with clients like you guys all the time. And we'll work on processing the relationship, understanding exactly what happened, and then picking up the pieces and moving forward in a pragmatic way. The first step, though, if you're the guy that has been broken up with and discarded, it's no contact. You should not be talking to the narcissistic or borderline woman because they might not hoover right away. Hoovering is when they try to reach back out to us to keep the door open or to reignite the flame. The goal is no contact because if we're wasting our time with women who are damaged, that's all time we are not spending with someone who's going to be healthy. But once this situation has happened to us, we've really got to clean up our side of the street and see what we could have done better and become pragmatic and look forward to the future and what we can do about our mission and purpose, what we can do about our communities, what we can do about other weak areas or vulnerabilities in our lives. We gotta patch them up. And this situation that's just happened is an extremely valuable experience, is an extremely valuable opportunity to get better. And so that's what I'm hoping to do for men out there. If this is you, please reach out to me and I'll help you get on this path, help you pick up the pieces and move forward as a stronger and more wise version of yourself. Because if we're willing to grow, and if we're willing to look at this as an opportunity to grow, it can actually be one of the best things that's ever happened to us, even though it doesn't feel like that now. It might feel like the experience you're going through now might feel worse than a death. It might feel like the worst breakup you've ever had because their feelings change so quickly. They go, the love bombing phase to discard can be within a week in some cases. And so it leaves guys just dizzy. They don't know what the hell hit them. And it's devastating. It really hurts. And just remember, that pain might bring us to a point where we're willing to try something new. We're willing to learn. We're willing to grow in a way that before this experience, maybe we weren't willing to. I know that's what I did in my own life. I used it as an opportunity to grow. I used it as an opportunity to write my book, Radical Self-Respect. And I tried to look at my side of the street to see what I could have done better and learn from the situation, see where I could have done things better, take care of my side of the street. And that's what I want to help you men do. Take a look at your side of the street, patch up whatever weaknesses you've had that attracted those kinds of women to you to begin with, because there are some weaknesses if we're constantly attracting those types of people. There really are. A lot of times it might involve trauma from childhood or recreating a relationship with a parent. And those are things we got to work on. And the narcissist or borderline woman in our lives has given us the opportunity to do that. And I'm hoping that you guys reach out so that I'm able to help you and share my experience and help you along the way. Coaching can be great for holding people accountable and just having someone to bounce things off of, someone that understands, someone who's been where you are. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make myself available to do that for men because I wasn't aware of how much of a need there is for that right now. I see men reaching out everywhere in Facebook groups and Reddit groups where they've been devastated by a narcissistic or borderline woman and they don't know how to go forward. They don't know how to pick up the pieces. They might even become suicidal over it and have suicidal idealizations because they don't know how they can go on without that person they loved so much. And I get all that. I think that's all completely understandable. But after some sessions with me, I think we'll be able to understand together what actually happened, the reality of what it really was, and then, more importantly, moving forward, observing for red flags in future relationships, and becoming the best version of ourselves, chasing excellence, as they call it, working on our lives. Because when we do that, when we're becoming the best version of ourselves, we will attract better people to us. And narcissistic and borderline women, they have a sixth sense for dudes that are a little more codependent or people pleasers, or they don't have rigid boundaries. Those are the kinds of people they prey on. And so chances are you were maybe like that a little bit. I know I was. And so it left me vulnerable. That and my upbringing and the trauma that I brought forth. And narcissistic women can smell that out. And that's what happened to me. So if you're watching this, please don't hesitate to reach out. It can get better. It does get better, as long as we're willing to hold ourselves accountable, as long as we're willing to take ownership of our side of the street and try something different and use the experience as an opportunity to grow. That's what I'd love to help you guys do out there. So reach out to my email in the description, mellowmentoring@gmail.com, and I look forward to your inquiries. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.